Okay guys, this video is going to be the second part to the breakdown of how this unit works. And simply how it's going to lay out is after you have done all your corrections and I have seen them get fixed and you got the right fractions, then I simply give you the master sheet. And the master sheet has the exact stuff that you're going to write on each of those drawings. Now remember, every drawing needs to be drawn just like it is you see it. And secondly, you need to have the dimensions on here. This is the first time you're going to be dimensioning your drawings. So with that being said, let's just get after it. And I'm not going to draw one in front of you. I'm going to show you a student's drawing that he has already done and I consider to spec on what I consider quality. So with that being said, let's get to just looking at 7.1. So this might be a little bit of a issue here, but we're going to try to get it the best working possible. Hey, that worked out pretty good. Okay, so real quick, you by now you should have known how to equally space your drawings, just like we has done here. Secondly, you literally draw it just like you see it, and you follow the dimensions that I have given you. And yeah, so once it's drawn, your next step is to put in your dimension lines. So we call this a dimension line for it's a liter slash diameter dimension line. We doesn't have on here is a little landing, and that landing should be about 1/4 inch, which is a horizontal line that breaks from the landing to the actual arrow that points to what you're dimensioning. But you will notice that his lines are done right to where the first set of dimension lines are 3/8 off of the object. That's 3/8 of a distance. Okay? And if a dimension line is the stack on top like it does down here, it goes 3/8, then it goes 1/4. And if there's another line up here, this would also be 1/4. So remember that, 3/8, 1/4, everything else above it, 3/8, 1/4. Okay, with that, now another important part is your extension lines. So this is an extension line. This extension line has a certain length to it. It is a 1/16 of an inch off of the object line or a center line like they do here. He didn't do a very good job here. So that's a 1/16 of an inch. And then it goes past the dimension line 1/8. So if a person was to try to figure the math on this, they could go 3/8 plus 1/8 is a 1/2 inch, so this line should be a 1/2 inch. And then you could physically, if you draw it light enough, you could come by with your erasing shield, because this distance here is a 1/16, and you could just simply erase it real quick and it fixes your line off there. Now look at here, this is we here. This distance here is greater than a 1/16 of an inch. So this should have been down a lot closer to here. This one looks good. See how it comes all the way down, almost touching the center line? Now the reason why we don't want them touching, because we don't want them to get confused with what that line is. Is it a part of the object or is it a dimension? So you got that breakdown. Now you also notice that we has different line lengths for his center line coming outside an object. This is hand drawing. If you really want to be a perfectionist, you could measure those out, but in reality, if you can make them look like a center line and they come out consistently the same, I'm perfectly fine with that. This one, if I would have noticed it, I probably would have had him trim it up a little bit just so it looks almost the same as those. But I mean, the whole point is just to make it look like a center line, which is a long dash, small dash, long dash. Now, looking at this scale here, he had to do a small dash, long dash, small dash, long dash, and then a small one. Just to represent that it's a center line. He could have went completely out, but the scaling would have looked a little weird, so he did that, and that's perfectly fine. You'll notice on my drawing and my master that I just got 2 big lines here. I did that wrong. That does not look like a hidden line, so I should have brought my LT scale down smaller, so I would have saw smaller dashes and more of them within my shape. so I know it looks like a hidden line. Just like we did here. He put more small dashes in there to represent it's a hidden line. Now, when you're drawing on the right side, you guys should know center lines come outside your object. Don't cut them off inside because it looks too close to a center or to a hidden line. Here's another example. Here's his 1/16 of an inch. 1/16 of an inch. And last but not least, the next big thing is your text. In the worksheet, you guys have learned that your fraction must be an 1/8 inch tall. And notice he used guidelines. And then your whole numbers is 1/4 inch. Now you do this by your hand, but your very first 7.1 drawing must show guidelines for your text. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that you guys understand the size of the text. It's important that you understand that. And after you get done, then you can go on and finish up all your stuff and go to the second one. And notice he didn't use guidelines on here. And I even marked it up here because he didn't give me 3/8. And I physically saw it. He tried to cheat the system, so we caught him and brought him back. And that one was too big. So, yeah. Notice this one, he just didn't do arrows. So you guys, you get the idea. And those should always be capital letters. In the lettering unit, we never practice small letters because in drafting, you never do lowercase letters. It's always capitalized. Everything's capitalized. Yeah. So this is kind of how it works, and you physically just lay stuff out just like you know. And we kind of has a little OCD when it comes to read. He keeps his originals in here and then he redraws them. So that's why he's doubling up. But other than that, you guys get the idea, and now you can begin drawing, and you should be good to go. Remember, guidelines. I need to see them for the text.